So the task that I want to perform in my model is to go and find glass objects, if you like. I've got a large data set with lots of information in it, and I can pick on anything that's in my model. I want you to, looking at the glass side of the building, if you click down here, the first thing you're going to find on the outside of the building is small sheets of glass. If I pick on it, you can see that I'm selecting a piece of glass because that's what's in the foreground here. So the first thing is just to kind of identify what information there is on this piece of glass. If you go to the properties palette here, you can see that it says that its name is glazed. The item name is glazed for that piece of glass. There's lots of other information there that I could be searching on, but that's what I want you to remember. Item name is glazed, and I'm just doing that to find out what it's called. Now, I need to be able to find lots of these items named glazed that are in my building. So what I do is I go down to the find items here. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller on my screen just so you can see what's going on. So under category, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for an item, and the item, the property of that item that I'm interested in specifying is, I've got the choice of anything that's in here from my data set, is the name, where the condition that I want to match is under here. Now I could say equals glazed, but I'm trying to do a kind of a broad search and make sure that I catch as much as I can in this first pass of the model. So it's probably better to say something like contains, because it might be the actual property might be glazed panel or something else. There might be so that this kind of makes the first pass kind of broad. And if I look at the items that are here, if I just type in G, it'll take me down to where I've got these options. And I see glazed as an option. So remember that this list is generated by the model that I brought in, so it's really important in the original models that you standardize on naming conventions. It'll make it much simpler after you've brought things into Navisworks. So if I do that, I'm just leaving the first item as item name contains glazed. I can go down here, so I've got all three models. I can say find all. You see what it did? It found all of the items in my model. I'm just dragging this up so you can see it a bit. Whose name contained glaze. But if I spin this, or if I go to the orbit command and I turn this around, oops, let's do a constrained orbit like this. I'll turn it around to the other side of the building, and then I'm just going to pan in. You can see that. Well, how come I didn't get some of these smaller windows that are on the top here? I'm going to go home and select just to clear my command here. So what if I pick on one of these small windows up here? Well, another way of getting to kind of dig down into the data is to look at the selection tree. So I've selected something here, and I've got kind of the equivalent of the browser in Revit. It's kind of a tree structure that shows the items that are in here in a hierarchy. You see if I, and it's important here that I want to pin the panel, because if I don't pin the panel, once I move down inside this object here, and I select on that, if I hadn't pinned it, this would disappear. And so I'm keeping it pinned up so that I can go down and see that my window is actually made up of two different things. There's a surrounding panel, and if I can zoom in and make that a bit more obvious so you can see, there's a surrounding frame. So I pick something, I look in here, you see that if I pick on solid, that's actually the glass. If I clicked on composite panel, that's actually what goes around the glass. So what I'm interested in is that there, the solid, I had to pin that to keep it up here on my screen. Now I can go across to the properties and say, well, it's not an item named glass, but if I come down here I can see that there's material glass. So that's how I'm kind of digging down to find items in my my data set. So if I go back to my find items, I can come down to the next line here and say that now what I'm looking for is an item where it's the material that is, and in this case I am going to say equals, and I'm going to type in glass. Now if I leave that as it is, that means that the search has to meet those two conditions. I'm looking for items that the name contains glass and the material is equal to glass, and really what I'm wanting is an OR condition. So if I right click up here, I can say that's an OR condition. Oops, sorry, I need to be up here on this line and say it's an OR condition. So item name contains glazed, or item material is equal to glass. I really don't have anything here. I'm going to say turn that off on that line. So now I've got the condition that I wanted to meet. So what would happen now is that if I come up here, oh, I messed up, let me type that in again. Glass. Is now if I go down and I say find all, you'll see that what I've got in my model is much more information. If I'm holding the shift down and I'm turning it, to see that I got that whole condition met. So that's how I find things. And then I'll show you how to make a set of these in just a second. So